This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What's going on, gang? Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Vibes are high. The Jets are in the playoffs, and there is no WST curse. Finally got a win with their WST group last night at Canada Life Centre, and it happened to be on clinch day for the Winnipeg Jets. What a great time last night. A big shout out and thanks to everyone that joined us for those 4 games this year. We had to wait a while to get that winning feeling and do our victory pick in the borrowed side section 316, but it was worth the wait, and what a great season it's been. And now we can get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs officially and get ready to bring the Whites out. We'll break down last night's game, look ahead to this big 4-game road trip, an incredible opportunity to prepare for the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs, running the gauntlet of the Central Division beginning tomorrow in Minnesota, Tuesday in Nashville, Thursday in Dallas, and next Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche before the Jets come back for 2 final games against Pacific Division opponents, the Kraken and Canucks, before things get real on the 20th of April with the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs. As I mentioned, we'll break down last night's game, discuss some ups and downs from it, hear from Rick Bowness and more. Scott Billeck of the Winnipeg Sun is going to jump on the program, and we will also have a visit from our pal Murat of the Athletic. So looking forward to that. And later on, I'm going to welcome in Andrew Harris, former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, all-time CFL leading rusher. He's going to jump on the program to talk about his career and a big event and a big project that has been coming behind the scenes that's going to debut in Winnipeg at the end of this month. So should be fun. It's Friday. You know we'll do a marble race. Make sure to stick around. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you're eligible to win a WST hoodie. And while you're at it, hit that thumbs up. Got to thank the wonderful sponsors that support us and make this show happen each and every day. The great people of Princess Auto, Coolbet Canada. By the way, just finished up our WrestleMania edition of the Lock Shop. And this has been the hottest week ever in the Lock Shop. We've hit literally everything. We'll get to that a little later on. Thank you. Second assist, Mark Scheifele on that empty netter. But the WrestleMania show was always fun. We were moving lines as we were talking about it. And yes, if you're wondering, you can every now and then bet on sports entertainment. So that's their EST channel if you want to check that out. Of course, our friends at Consolidated Supply, the Winnipeg Jets, Little Brown Jug, Modern Man Barber Shop, and a big event at the Pembina location all weekend long. Manitoba Battery, Canadian Club, F Apparel, Wallace & Wallace, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Breezy Bend Golf and Country Club. And we'll get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. Let's get Michael Remis in here. And Reem, we can exhale. There was a lot of pressure to get that win last night, but we did. Everyone had a great time, and even better that we got the win for the WST crew on clinch day for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, it's like we knew, Huss, when we did the package that this was going to be a game where the Jets had clinching capabilities. So pretty awesome to be there for that when they put out the clinched graphic at the end. Great to finally see a win with our group that we saw the 4 games with. It was a great experience, great idea to put this together, and shout out to everyone who got tickets and made it happen. We did see, we saw some good games, but we didn't get to see a win until last night. And looked kind of dicey there at times, Huss. It definitely wasn't a guarantee. But I think it played out the way that we said it would because you did the WST parlay on Coolbet and all of your conditions hit. Scheifele, Ehlers, Velarde, getting in on the action with points, Morrissey as well, and the Jets winning in regulation. So well done with that one, Hustler.
Well, and speaking of which, I mean, we were sitting together in the second period, and Ehlers had a point, Morrissey had a point, Vilardi had a point, the Jets were up, and true or false, I did say, you know that this is going to cash on like a cheeky second assist on an empty netter for Mark Scheifele, and that is exactly what happened in the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, they were able to ice it, and shout out to Gabe Vilardi getting the hat trick on the empty netter. We were in 316. It's a bit of a distance there to throw your hats, and I held on to mine. I didn't want to get some guy trying to make a TikTok reel, stealing my nice hat and trying to throw it on the ice when it has no shot of getting there. But yeah, Vilardi gets the hat trick, and Scheifele chipped in just like you predicted, Huss. Well done on that one.
Well, we hit the partner parlay last week. I mean, honestly, just a nuclear week. So everything going great right now. And again, the team getting into the playoffs. I mean, as far as the game went, I mean, the Jets are simply a better, more talented team than the Calgary Flames right now. I mean, Mackenzie Weegar, through traffic, got the Flames up 1-0. Jets battled back for 2-1, and, we're in a good position at the end of the first period. An interesting moves by Bones, and we'll get into this with the guys a little later on. There's a 5-on-3 power play in the first period, of which Connor, Scheifele, Vilardi, the number one power play, and it was basically out for the entire 2 minutes. So that left Nikolai Ehlers and Cole Perfetti to come out afterwards, and Perfetti, another strong game, real nice pass to Nick, set him up. I guess that would be the second goal. And I guess Rick decided that was all he needed to stick those guys together and go back to Old Faithful, 81, 55, and 13, Scheifele and Connor back together. And then the second period started. And at one point, and I know sometimes the shot clock on the scoreboard is not entirely accurate, but it was showing 10-0 in shots for the Calgary Flames. And those changes lasted, 8-9 minutes or so in the second period, and then it was back to what they started with. And, we'll play the clip from Rick talking about it. He sort of focused in on Perfetti and Ehlers, which I thought was interesting. I don't think that's what everyone else was thinking, but a little bit of line mixing at the end. The Jets with the lead. And listen, the story of the game last night, Gabriel Vilardi. I mean, any worries about him being ready for the playoffs, I think, have been completely quelled. A massive game last night. Got the empty netter for the Hattie, and was a big part of the game, and obviously the first star in last night's tilt.
Yeah, I wasn't making the first stars last night like I did on Monday's game, but yes, no doubter there for Vilardi. You mentioned putting Connor, Scheifele, and Vilardi together as they played 5 minutes and 40 seconds on the ice for 1 goal against, 0 for, 4 shot attempts for, and they allowed 10 against. So what didn't exactly go that well, they recognized it quickly and went back. And yeah, when they noticed the change, I was like, oh, they were just out for the while on the power play. Just get Ehlers a shift on with Perfetti and Monahan. And we're like, oh no, they're going back to this quickly. And hey, you saw the magic there with the Ehlers Perfetti. Why not? They seem to have locked in on this Connor, Scheifele, Vilardi trio, but it clearly wasn't working, and they went back. So good for them for trying something and then seeing it didn't work and going back. And yeah, Vilardi, I mean, he's been awesome since he came back. He makes the power play go. They scored 2 goals yesterday, and just him on the side of the net. He can do so many things, trying to pass across, back to Scheifele, pass to the D. You saw him try to go through the legs and jam it in. It was awesome to watch, and big success there for the Jets. And you're looking forward to seeing what he can do in the playoffs against likely Colorado, but we'll wait and see. But 2 for 4 on the power play. Well done, although, couldn't really convert on that 5-minute opportunity they had after the elbow.
Let's get to that right now. Pospisil has turned very quickly into one of the biggest rat weasels in the National Hockey League, period, straight up. And Jet fans remember this clown's act in the preseason when he blindsided Cole Perfetti in the chin and knocked him out. And listen, he did not start the season with the Flames. I believe he was in the AHL. I mean, I was at that first game in Calgary. I was wondering whether he would be in the lineup and what sort of, shall we say, retribution the Winnipeg Jets might get. They played then later on in the season, and there wasn't much of this. But this guy's he's done this a number of times. And what makes it even worse is that he is not a guy that's willing to step up for himself. If you saw what happened last night, I mean, he goes in, leaves his feet, elbows Morrissey in the head, and then stays down, basically waiting for the refs to come in because there were two Jets standing right on top of him. And I think the Jets were maybe a little gun shy after getting screwed the way they did last week with that ridiculous instigator that was put to Mark Scheifele when Nick Hague dropped his gloves first. Pospisil wasn't even dropping his gloves. He was in the fetal position after making that hit. It was originally 2. The linesman said it should be 5. They looked at it. He got 5 and kicked out, and that probably saved him as well from any retribution from the Winnipeg Jets. But a garbage hit from a guy that's getting a big-time reputation for being a rat right now, and a guy that apparently doesn't like to fight because he's had concussion history. Well, maybe don't run around smoking guys in the head with cheap shots like he did last night to Josh Morrissey. I was pissed. Most of the fans were, and he was lucky he got out of that rink with the 5 in a game because I don't think it would have been pretty if he stuck around.
Well said, Hustler. I will say I wasn't really sure what to think based on Nick Hague getting 2 minutes for an elbow last week after review, exactly a week ago, last Thursday. So I saw that hit, and I was like, oh, this is, I don't know, Morrissey, like, did he even get grazed? As usually you have to, take a guy's head off if you want to get 5 minutes on plays where a guy's doesn't get hurt. I mean, he got up right after, so I wasn't really sure what to think. I think well done by the officials, but I'm very confused about the consistency of some of these calls, which I said. I think they made the right call. But again, I mean, we watched the same play last week where a Jet player got elbowed in the head and they reviewed and called it 2 minutes. So you never know what it's going to be. And I agree with what you said just now, but this is going to pop up again in the future. I like that they're trying to protect players from headshots, even if, Morrissey was fine. Like you can still call a 5-minute major on a guy if he's not getting carried off on a stretcher or something. So, well done there. And yeah, Pospisil, I mean, he's up there for the Jets fans' most hated list. I think Ryan Hartman is probably number 1, but Pospisil after what he did to Perfetti in the preseason, that was the preseason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the AHL as well. And this hit on Morrissey, like, I don't know what he's doing, jumping in to Morrissey and raising the elbow. It doesn't really make any sense why you would do that, but I guess that's the type of guy that he is. And, Ken raised a good point, too, that they had to kick him out. Otherwise, if they didn't, guys are going to try to fight in and would be getting silly, I think.
Oh, it would have been. I know Barfly is saying the Jets are getting a reputation for not responding. I mean, I don't know whether that's fair. Last night, the guy got kicked out. I mean, I guess, listen, there are some teams for instance, the Minnesota Wild, which would just run around and they would go cheap shot for cheap shot. The Jets, and I think most teams don't operate that way. But Pospisil at some point is going to have to answer. Many of us, myself included, thought that probably should have happened already for what he did to Perfetti. But this is a guy that has a rep for avoiding those sort of things, not wanting to engage, despite the fact that he's running around like an idiot and, putting other NHL players in legit danger from non-hockey plays, if you will. So, listen, everyone was hot about that one. There may have been a few double birds coming down from the middle of Section 316 as he got kicked out last night. But you know what? Pospisil and the Flames, we don't have to worry about them until next season. They're done. And the Jets put the fork in them last night while they clinched their playoff spot. Let's hear from Bones. He was, speaking of pissed off, he was hot after the Morrissey hit. And also provided an update on Adam Lowry, who took a pretty big hit in the third period and actually was removed from the game by the concussion spotter. Here's Bones on Adam Lowry, as well as the hit on Josh Morrissey.
How's Adam Lowry feeling? And
he's fine.
He's fine?
He is fine. I just talked to him. He's good. He was surprised that they put him in that concussion protocol, but he's fine.
Yeah, so that's the call from the spotter or whatever?
That's the spotter.
Okay. So you don't anticipate any issue going forward? Would he or you have had an issue with that hit, or just he had his head down, I guess, and just unfortunate to catch him like that?
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And obviously Josh early in the game, he escapes.
that was the right call, and good on the refs to take a look at it and then change their calls. So I think the linesman called it, so that's their job to watch out for those things as well. So that was definitely the right call, and good on them to make that change.
A much calmer Bones talking about that hit than when he was on the bench, and I don't think anybody at Canada Life Center blamed him after Pospisil took a run with an elbow to the head of Jet star defenseman Josh Morrissey. Of course, the big news, and it was a very cool scene as the team celebrated the victory. The Jets marketing game ops, they were ready to go. It was a wild sound. Everyone was like, what is that? It was like a crazy loud wind sound. And then all of a sudden it came up, the whiteout clinch, the smoke coming down. Very, very cool for the fans in attendance. And listen, cool for everybody involved. The Jets are going back to the playoffs. Here's Bones on clinching and getting that X beside the Winnipeg Jets name in the standings.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we didn't wait till the second last game of the year like we did last year, but there was never any doubt in my mind that we'd clinch that and we'd be making the playoffs this year. There was never any doubt. We've got a good team here. We've got a good bunch of guys, so there's never any doubt. So it's nice to put that behind us, and now we push forward.
All right, so there's Bones, and he had to laugh. I think he still regrets the second half of last season and how long it took for the Jets to clinch. But, when you set out at the beginning of 82, you want to make sure you get that X and you're part of the dance, and that's exactly what the Jets are. Kyle Connor, who got one of the jackets last night, for his role in supporting the Parkinson, the evening, which is so close to his heart, said, back in the dance, boys, let's go. And that's exactly where they were. But that was a little chuckle-worthy, Bones, at the start of that clip, Reem, taking it back to making it more than difficult on themselves last season.
Yeah, well, last year they had that huge lead in the second half. I mean, they were firmly in a playoff spot, and there were some questions like, is this going to be one of the bigger collapses that we've seen? But they were able to pull it together. We've talked about how they had to ride Connor Hellebuck, maybe more than they would have liked down the stretch, but they got in, and second last game of the year, and it wasn't a sure thing. I think for this year, it's been pretty smooth. They had some ups and downs the last couple months, but it's been smooth sailing. I think they've been firmly in a playoff spot. It hasn't been much of a question. So nice to get the formal part of it done, but they know there is more work to do. And it was pretty cool being in the building where they put up that graphic. You were kind of like, hey, what's going on here? And storm is coming or whatever marketing speak they have. They're ready with all the materials as they're ready with the whiteout gear. And, I took a video of, the first, I think it was first game of 2018 playoffs that's on the Winnipeg Sports Talk Instagram story and Twitter feed as well, which just, gives you chills every time you see it. Being there, being at the game, it's awesome seeing the passion of all the fans dressed in white. It's very intimidating, and hopefully they can get some home wins this year, Huss.
Yeah, and we'll see how the series shakes out. As I said yesterday, I thought it was about 80% likely that the Jets play the Avalanche. That might even be higher now. Although Colorado is still just 3 points back of the Dallas Stars. Dallas has won 8 in a row. At some point, maybe they'll lose. So it could still be Dallas. Jets most likely, I would say, based on the 6 games remaining and being 4 points back, probably starting on the road as the third place team against number 2 in the Central. But that remains to be seen. We'll see how that goes moving forward. Gabriel Velarde was the star of last night's game, though. And listen, there was a moment where we were thinking, is this guy even going to be able to play in the playoffs? Well, he's back. He's looking great. He had a hat trick last night. Bones asked if they were seeing Gabriel Velarde at 100%.
Yeah, you're pretty close, right? So we've got a tough road trip coming up, 4 tough games. So that's going to help him. Because we're going into some tough rinks against some really good hockey teams, and give us a better gauge of where we are and going into the playoffs. But certainly with Gabe, he's always made the power play better. We saw it when he came back, and the way we saw how it's a totally different power play when he's not out there. So it shows the importance of his presence on that power play and with that line.
To that point, the way you've seen a lot of players over your years, the way that he turns his back to the play, but is able to find guys, but by virtue of turning away from the play, really disguises where he's going with it. How would you describe that ability?
That's unique. It is, but he's got it. It's one of those scenarios. He knows who's open and what he's doing before he gets the puck. He does, and he sees what the options are. When he gets it, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows exactly where the guys are. But he has that unique ability to see that. But he's not ad-libbing out there. He knows, okay, I'm going to get that puck. I know where it's going because he's open. So that's him.
Now, as much as it was all smiles after the game, it was another one of the games where it wasn't really great Jets hockey for a full 60 minutes. And Bowness was asked, what's leading them to be getting away from their game like they did for that period in the second? And how do they fix it? And most importantly, make sure that that's not happening when they're moving up a weight class and playing a team like potentially the Avalanche in the postseason.
We get spread out too much. We make it too easy for the opposition to come at us because we're spread out. We're not stopping and starting on puck battles. Basically, it comes down to that. We're just making it too easy for the opposition to come at us. And we just take our foot off the pedal for a little bit, and then every team in this league, regardless, is a good team, and they're fighting for their lives tonight to keep the thing alive. But it's more on us taking our foot off the pedal, and that's something we've been dealing with for, then we're going to continue to deal with it and keep pushing.
All that said, I saw a lot of back pressure from your team in the third period. What have you seen from your team as far as closing out the last two games?
The third period was much better. First period got lapses. Second period wasn't our best. It started okay and it ended okay, but in the middle wasn't good enough. But this team knows how to play in the third period, and the back pressure was there. And that's how tight we were all over the ice. Made it very hard for them to get anything going. So that's the biggest difference.
All right, so there's bonus on that topic. Now, part of it included that swap of Ehlers and Kyle Connor again. And I'm not sure whether it was coincidental. You can judge for yourself, but shout out to our own Connor Rabchak, who asked Bones about switching Ehlers and Kyle Connor and then switching them back.
You saw Cole set up Nick, and you say, okay, we had them together earlier, and it didn't work. So I said, well, let's just try it a little bit, see if it's going to work, and it didn't work. So we just flipped them back. That's always an option that I have with those guys, with Nick and KC. But if you remember earlier when we first got Sean, we had that line together, and it just didn't work. It's as simple as that. And then when I saw Cole set up Nick, okay, let's just take another look at that and see what it looks like. And I didn't like it, so we moved them back.
Okay, Reem, I don't know what your take is on that. I found that to be sort of a weird answer from Bones because it really focused in on Ehlers and Perfetti when I think everybody that was watching saw Connor and Scheif back together and really struggled to get the puck, and you kind of rolled out the numbers of when those guys were together. They had a super long shift. They got caught out there that ended up in the back of the net. And yet no mention of that group when he was talking about the return back to the way the line started at the start of the game.
Yeah, he's a coach. He's focusing on the positive. He's not going to go out there, Huss, and throw anyone under the bus. He said, hey, these guys made a good play. We want to see more of that. We didn't, and we made the switch. So it's a win. He's not going to go and throw any individual players under the bus. So I thought it was well handled.
There's a few things that weren't working. I guess my point is it wasn't just the Ehlers Perfetti group that we'll quote wasn't working at that point. And
no, there was there were two other players involved in the swap. Or one whole other line. So look, and he addressed it the appropriate way. So I have no questions. I mean, you look at the numbers, speaks for itself. What happened?
I think another step forward for Cole Perfetti last night. As I mentioned, he did have that nice setup to Nikolai Ehlers in the aftermath of the 5-on-3 power play that they were put together at that point. And here's what Bones had to say about Perfetti.
He worked very hard, and it was tough on him. He's never had us go through this before, but it's big boy hockey right now, and you got right, and it has been for a while. So you got to learn how to play in these situations, and he's figuring it out.
You have a lot of options up and down the lineup. Does it give you encouragement that he's going to be able to be there for you in the playoffs?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, keep playing the way he's playing, and yeah, we're fine with that.
So a little boost of confidence for 91 after getting back into the lineup and having that big game with 2 goals and an assist on Monday, and continuing to help contribute after a long stretch where that just was not happening for Cole Perfetti. But listen, Gabe Vilardi was the star of the show last night with the hat trick. Gabe spoke after the game. Here he is on his hat trick and clinching the playoff spot at home.
Yeah, it's cool. It's every night for me, but it's a better night for team. Make playoffs, and still got a long ways to go. A lot of work that needs to be done still. So, but it's definitely a good night.
You clinch in front of your home fans, a little bit extra special. Is that maybe some motivation to get it done today instead of another day?
I mean, not really. No, I mean it was pretty cool, and they made that sound there at the jumbo. I didn't know what was going on, so I guess you could say for that it was cool. But fans have been great, and it's going to be exciting to play in the whiteout, but like I said, there's still a lot of season left, so got to focus on that.
I laughed when he said that about the sound coming out of the Jumbotron, Remo, because I think we were all doing the exact same thing as everyone was celebrating the win, and then realized what was going on, that it was official. The team had clinched, and they were firing up something special on the screens.
Here, let me throw up the video here, recorded from our seats in section 316. I don't even know if you'll be able to, how well you can see it, but here, we're all here. Everyone's cheering by that sound. It's like the wind going in there, Huss. That's what it sounded like.
Actually, yeah, even on that video, you can hear the sound. Anyways, then the smoke came out. The guys came together, saluted the fans, and got back in and got ready for this big road trip. Here's just, listen, Vilardi also spoke to, just where the team is at right now and what he feels that they need to work on heading into the postseason and, of course, on this upcoming road trip.
Not the coach, but I say we got to clean up things. Like, we're having, breakdowns where I feel like we're getting outworked for, not a few shifts, but, the whole period, and we can't have that. There's definitely parts of the game where we're dominating, you can see it, and then we just kind of lose it, and we got to find a way to narrow that down. You're not going to have a perfect 60 minutes, but we can't have 20 minutes of, having Bucky stand on his head. So definitely got to clean things up. I think we know how good we are when we play to our standards, and then, like I said, we got to clean things up too.
I know Rennie likes to self-gloss and call himself the truth teller, but I have to say, Gabe Vilardi's a pretty good truth teller as well. Not sugarcoating it, and, honestly, letting people know that there is some work and, not kind of ducking around the fact that they haven't been as good as they're going to need to be for 60 minutes enough lately, especially as this team prepares for the playoffs on this upcoming roadie.
Yeah, Vilardi's saying all the right things. Says, how do you feel about your hat trick? Like, yeah, I mean, that's nice, but I'm here for the team. We clinched the playoffs. It's great. And he says, I'm not the coach, but, and then laid into exactly what he thought was wrong with the team. I agree. Vilardi's the real truth teller, and I think we didn't really know much about him coming into the year, but he's become one of our favorite guys for post-game interviews or pre-game. He says what's on his mind. And he's not afraid to hide the truth. So he says they got to work on some things, and they certainly know that heading into the final games here. So I'm curious how it's going to shake out in terms of does anyone get rested, and how are they going to look? Because you do have some big opponents coming up like Nashville, Dallas, Minnesota, Colorado, Vancouver. I mean, there's some good teams. Minnesota's not in the playoffs, and they don't have, as you said, called Murat Hartman or Marcus Foligno. So maybe a different game than we're used to between Jets and Minnesota.
Listen, Billeck's going to join us in just a minute. Let's hear, though, from Josh Morrissey. I mean, another incredible season for Josh. following up a career year with another one and really establishing himself as one of the top defensemen in the league. It was a nervous moment when he did get hit on that cheap shot from Pospisil. But Josh talked about clinching and on the play of Gabriel Velarde, who had a monster game with a hat trick last night.
I thought we did a lot of good things, didn't score on the 5-on-3, but we had some good looks and then stayed with it and were able to get one, and then, have both units contribute as well is massive. You're going to need both units down into the playoffs now. So it was nice. We, didn't execute as well as we probably could have on the 5-minute power play, but I don't think that it killed our momentum at all. And I felt like it's nice to see a couple go in, and we'll keep working on it to keep trying to make it a strength of our team.
How does Gabe change things on that power play, or how has he?
I think he's so good around the net and down low. He's got great hands and tight for, and he's a big guy, so obviously he's tough to move. He's just got a good feel for, when's the right time to take it to the net. Him and Scheif have some chemistry on some sort of give and goes, and then he's able to find Monty and KC and just make a lot of good plays off rebounds. Obviously, tip pucks. He's just got that feel down there. So I think when he's there, it's a real threat. And teams, depending on how they kill, seem sometimes to leave that guy alone. And obviously, he's dangerous.
All right, there's Josh Morrissey on the clinch, and of course Gabe Velarde. He was also asked, his version of the hit that got Pospisil kicked out with 5 minutes and a game on a major.
Yeah, obviously, I don't love getting hit. I don't think anyone does, but it's not so much not wanting to be hit. It's more just trying to have the puck under control and not put yourself in a position to get hit. So it is what it is. I think they upgraded to a 5, and that's their decision, the refs, and we'll see if anything comes from it. But like I said, I missed a pass up the wall about 5 seconds earlier, which I should have completed, and then that wouldn't have happened. So that's kind of how I see those things. But it is what it is.
Well, there was a lot of talk about the hit after the game, and here's just a little bit more of Josh Morrissey on the incident with Pospisil of the Flames.
I watched it after, and in the moment, I didn't feel like it was dirty, I guess. I just felt like I got smoked, and that's my fault, but not my fault, but it is part of the game. I just don't want to turn into it. When I watch it after, he kind of extends the elbow, so in the moment, I guess I didn't feel it was a 5 or that bad. I just thought it was a big hit, and you can see he kind of throws the elbow. Thankfully, it just kind of grazed my chin and didn't make contact, but obviously he's got a history, and the elbow was probably the piece of it that I feel like is the reckless part of the hit. So the league will look at it. Obviously he's got a couple suspensions, and he's a young guy in the league, so not the best to be losing money like that. So we'll see what happens.
Very diplomatic Josh Morrissey speaking about that incident last night. So it's on to the playoffs for the Winnipeg Jets, which will begin in a couple weeks after 6 more games of the regular season. It was great to hear from Phyllis and a number of people at the game last night that they were all in, like the Winnipeg Jets are, for both the playoffs and for next season, putting a deposit down on a package for next year and getting priority access to playoffs. Well, the playoffs are officially coming, gang, and there still is time to both count yourself in for the postseason and for next year and get the best seats in advance before they go on sale. Go to winnipegjets.com/deposit. All the information on the benefits of being a package holder, including concession discounts and more. The map pricing for next year, it is all there. And again, it's a $250 deposit on your seats for next season. And you can count yourself in for the Stanley Cup playoffs, winnipegjets.com/deposit. I got to give a shout out to our friends at Modern Man Barbershop. I will not be wearing a hat every day next week like I have this week, because I'm popping by their 1-year anniversary festival after today to both get a haircut, wish them well, say hi to Toby the dog, Cordell, and the rest of the gang there. So if you are around and need a cut, head on down. They're going to be able to spin the wheel, win some great prizes this weekend at Modern Man Pembina from today through Sunday. Of course, Modern Man's got you covered with great haircuts, shaves, beard shaping, and more, with 8 locations all around the city of Winnipeg. But this weekend, it is all about the Pembina location. You can book your look at any of the 8 Modern Mans online at Modern Man Barbershop. But we're finally getting some gorgeous weather, folks, and that means spring is here, and it feels like playoff weather. Jets are going to be taking on one of their Central Division opponents in the first round, and Consolidated Supply is getting ready to get to work for Winnipeggers and Manitobans. They're the leaders in irrigation systems, those big irrigation projects for both your business or your home. Artificial turf, golf carts, both new and used, is the exclusive club car dealer in Manitoba, and other great options for your property to get working on this summer, including hot tubs and amazing outdoor kitchen options. They're also the leaders in small engine parts and repair. Pop by and see them at the showroom, open to the public, 1395 Niagara Road East, or find out more online at cte.ca. And speaking of spring, Donnie and the gang down at Manitoba Battery, first they opened up their new location, making it 2, Dover Court, in the south end of the city. And now the massive spring sale is on at both locations and at manitobabattery.com. Farmers, construction, landscaping companies getting ready for the spring, you need to head down to a Manitoba Battery. Few of the deals, half-ton batteries available for $75 to $80. When you're running those big trucks that need the Group 31 threaded post batteries, those are now on for $80. And we were just talking golf cart batteries. Need one for the upcoming season for your golf cart? 6-volt golf cart batteries now only $129.50. Shop local, get the best prices in town and the best service. Manitoba Battery, 2 locations. And again, the spring sale is live right now. Find out more at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's bring in Scott Billeck, Murat Tesh still to come as well, and Andrew Harris on today's show. Billeck, what's going on? How are you?
Yeah, good. Just got back from Jets abbreviated practice at the Iceplex there, or Hockey for All Center, I guess it's called. So yeah, I'm back there. Saw Ezzy's there with the Hockey Manitoba EOE tournament this weekend. So nice. Yeah, like you see, they don't see Ezra as much around anymore. He's got kids and works a day job, so he's not at a lot of Jets games. But always nice to see the old IC Ezzy.
What a beauty he is. Listen, we'll get to last night's game and everything in a minute. And we were sort of focusing on that for the first bit of the show. But the big news today is that Laurent Brossoit is the Jets nominee for the Masterton Trophy. Absolutely love the selection. I imagine he spoke today. Just thoughts on that and, the buzz around the club today with Laurent getting that very deserving nod.
Actually spoke yesterday, Huss. Yeah, so basically what happens with this, being a part of the Pro Hockey Writers Association, is we all vote on a couple of guys on the team. We try and figure out kind of, not the comeback player of the year, it's perseverance, right? So you try and figure out that. Hard to look past Laurent Brossoit and all the surgeries he's gone through and all that. And then, to even get his name on the cup last year, get this day with the cup last summer, winning with Vegas. Obviously, Jets fans won't be too happy about it, but he outlasted the Jets in the first round there, winning in 5 games. So yeah, it's a really nice story, and nice to see Laurent today. It was nice to see him yesterday as well down at the rink. We talked to him before the game, and I think a lot of people just believe he's deserving of it, right? A lot of players are, happy about it, and LB was I think touched. I guess is probably the right word by it. I think he was happy. It's always one of those awards where you never really want to be in the conversation for it, but I think when you are, people recognize what you've been through, and if anybody's followed along with Laurent Brossoit over the years, he's been through quite a bit with his injury and his hip issues and that sort of thing.
Well, for sure. And the injuries are one thing.
Yeah.
But as someone that covers the team and talks about them every day, Laurent Brossoit showed us a lot about the sort of teammate he is this year. We can't overlook the fact that he signed with this team coming off being part of the Stanley Cup champions in Vegas. He signed with this Winnipeg Jets team at a time when the collective wisdom had Connor Hellebuck elsewhere if not at the start of the season, at some point soon. And I think the thought was that LB was going to come back here and at some point get an opportunity to legitimately be the starting goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets. We all know that that changed on Thanksgiving when the Hellebuck extension along with Scheifele's extension was announced.
Yeah.
And I would imagine like that could be a situation that could rattle a guy. He's been anything but rattled this year. He's been absolutely brilliant. We've talked about the goals against this year and what the Winnipeg Jets are doing in the running for the Jennings Trophy. And while certainly he doesn't play as much as Connor Hellebuck, he has been a massive, massive part of that, Scott. And I mean, a lot of the success the Winnipeg Jets have, we talk about goaltending and people just, naturally, for obvious reasons, talk about Connor Hellebuck. His contributions and the way he handled the situation that I think changed significantly from what he was thinking when he signed, it was a big part of this knot as well.
Yeah, it was all taken into consideration. I don't believe the vote was particularly close among players. I think our top three in the end, I think Neil Pionk and Nate Schmidt were in there. But yeah, there is a lot, right? There's a lot to consider with Laurent Brossoit, and the reason for that is everything you sort of laid out there. I mean, and here's a guy who, I think didn't get enough credit last season, and Aiden Hill stole the show, right? I mean, I go back to that and I see a guy I think LB would have probably led them to the cup just as much as Aiden Hill did, right? I mean, Brossoit played so well in that first round. Like it was stunning, especially given he wasn't very far removed from having both of his hips operated on. And then he came and he had to play in Hendersonville there for a while, or Henderson, sorry, not Hendersonville, Henderson for a while. And then he comes into the league and he lights the league on fire in those last, I think it was 10 games. He was like 9-1-0 or 9-0-1, undefeated in regulation, getting into the playoffs. Like that guy's had, and you talk to him and he's very much, if Jets fans haven't really talked to Brossoit before, he's got that Connor Hellebuck sort of mystique about him, right? There's a lot of there's obviously a lot of confidence in himself, but there's just he's quirky. He's got those quirky things about him, but he's very. I think I don't want to say humbled. I don't know if he's been humbled or if that would be the word that he would use, but he's very. I think he's just very grateful for the opportunity. I think there was times where he didn't think it was worth playing anymore, right? There's just so much going against him at that time. And now I think he's turned this year, Huston, to your point, even if he hasn't played as much as maybe he thought he would or didn't get that opportunity as a starting goaltender, I think those opportunities are coming for him next year. I mean, it's unfortunate it would be for the Jets not to have a quality netminder like Laurent Brossoit as their backup next year. I think you can only feel happy for a guy who's going to probably at least be part of a timeshare somewhere in this league next year, because he's earned that right. He's gotten his body back to where it needs to be. He prepares just like Connor Hellebuck prepares for a game. It's very similar. And he's played in big games. I think there's a lot of experiences that Laurent Brossoit has, that there's a lot of goalies on the market this summer that aren't going to have that sort of resume, even if it's been in chunks and that sort of thing. I think he can certainly play in all those situations. And I hope he does. I hope he gets a really nice guy, and I really hope he gets his opportunity to take a shot and a stab at a starting role come next season.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly, it's funny, I've had a few conversations lately. I mean, I'm not sure that a team is just going to say, hey, you're the starter, here's the money.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But yeah.
He needs to be in a situation that is open for competition, and he gets a true, legitimate chance to show that he can be an everyday starting goaltender in the National Hockey League, because he certainly is. His work when he has been in the net has paid off. This is sort of an oddball question. I'm going to put this out to the chat. I'm going to put this out. This will be our why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Who is the coolest guy on the Winnipeg Jets? Like when you think of, and again, people have their own different thoughts of what is quote unquote cool. But the reason I bring that up, Billeck, is because every time I talk to Laurent Brossoit or see him, he actually strikes me as a really cool dude.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I guess I get to see it a little better than maybe the fans do, just because we're in the dressing room all the time. I've been on the road with these guys. You kind of see them out there. Brendan Dillon would be up there.
Dillon and Lowry are certainly
Adam Lowry 100%. And Adam Lowry, like, I mean, and those are two are also in the nicest guy categories, right? But and maybe that's why you
cool.
sort of know, so like it'd be him and Dillon, and Nate Schmidt would be in there. I'm going around the room in my head right now. I mean, those three are up there for sure. I'd like to get to know Vladimir Nemestikov a little bit more. I think he's up in there too. That guy's got that different way of going about himself, and I like that. But yeah, I'd probably say those three for sure. I don't know Tyler Toffoli enough, but I've heard he's kind of a bit of a cool cat, let's say.
This is a great question. I mean, here's what the I
can imagine the chat's all over the place.
Well, the chat is all over this for sure. Lowry and LB from Get Her Done. Cruiser, it might have to be LB. Steph B says Helly. Helly's just in his own category to me.
He's just like it's a I don't think you can put him. He's eclectic. Let's maybe say that. An eclectic might be the right word.
Lowry seems legit. 44 from Russ Rowan. A little vote for Josh Morrissey.
Yeah, Josh
he'd be up there. Gabe getting some love. Toffoli is pretty darn cool from Bravo Bry. Joey Pank said Schmidt. Schmidt's certainly a joker. Yeah. Oh, Curtis Perkins. Here we go. Nino or Ehlers define cool. I like it. I knew this like question.
Ehlers
I was thinking
cool
it was
in like that European way, right? Like I put Ehlers cool in that European way. Like I've talked to Ehlers, the things he does during the summer. I think he likes to spend some time in Ibiza and he likes to go to like EDM festivals. So he's sort of in that cool category. Like it's more of a, I don't know if I'd call it chic, but I don't know. I don't know how I'd really kind of coin it. But yeah, like there's a lot of I mean, there's a lot of guys that are cool on the team, I guess. I mean, but I mean, if I had to go with it, it'd probably be Adam Lowry. I think there's like if Buff was still on the team, he would probably be the coolest. But Adam Lowry does a lot of the things I think Buff does. Like there's like he's funny, he's like super like there's like a different way. Like I'd love to hear Adam Lowry trash talk somebody. Like, and we just never get him mic'd up on it. But I think his trash talk is probably just as good as Dustin Byfuglien's has been. So yeah, I'd be curious on that. But I mean, I guess it depends how you define cool. But Adam Lowry would probably be there for me.
Corey H. I mentioned Iafallo. It's got to be him. He seems very chill.
He's more hippie, I would say. Like, I mean, I don't know if hippie can be cool. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, he'd be more like the kind of hipster. But he's more of like a lone wolf, right? Like this is a guy who just like, I don't know if we could surf here, if we had anything like that, he'd be just gone doing that sort of thing. So, but yeah.
It's a fun conversation to have. And listen, it was a great one. Our question of the day. We got a lot of fun stuff. And Cole Profanetti is the coolest Jet.
I was gonna say there's a lot of tweets after that TSN thing where he did that. He was like, did Cole Profanetti just become the coolest Jet?
Yeah,
right? Just because he dropped an F-bomb on the TV.
Billeck, as far as let me ask you this, and we'll get into this a little bit with Murat. One of the interesting things coming out of last night's game was, I mean, listen, things had gone from bad to worse on that top line for about 2 weeks. They get split up. All it took was a 5-on-3 power play where they were out there the entire time, forcing Ehlers to go out with Perfetti, score a goal, and all of a sudden it was back to it. And then it was swapped again halfway through the second period when things were kind of looking like they were at times during that 6-game winning streak. What did you make of that move by Bones, as well as when Connor asked him about it? He essentially said it was all about Ehlers and Perfetti not looking good together.
Yeah, I mean, I had a tough time with it. I didn't like the change, but I understood it at the time because Ken Weeb and I were talking about it in the press box because they were on for basically 2 minutes straight, right? And that ruins the flow of a lot of things.
Yeah, that happens at the end of a long power play. If
right,
guys don't get out,
it. But then we go out of the commercial break, maybe a couple minutes after that, and then you see the line back together. And then what really changed, in my opinion, was when they failed to clear the puck, and Scheifele's line was on there with Connor, and they got scored on, and it's 2-2 all of a sudden, and then they go back to it. And I was like, okay, well, I can understand why Rick Bowness did it, because of how the game played out. At the time, I was like, like, is this right? I mean, you could just sort of skip a shift and then put the guy right back out there. But I mean, I think we sort of saw, and you saw it with Cole Perfetti and Nikolai Ehlers, but I think you've seen good things out of that Connor Scheifele or that Connor Monahan Ehlers line so far that you didn't need to do it. And then line rushes this morning too, we're back to the way the game started and ended last night. So yeah, I mean, I think Rick likes to micromanage a little bit, and I think sometimes it's just a little too much for at least for my taste. I think, sometimes, and I wrote about this last night, I was like, maybe you just need to let it breathe a little bit here, right? You got 6 games left now. You've clinched. You may or may not catch Colorado for the second pick, or for the second place and home ice advantage. It's possible. You still have a head-to-head with Colorado coming up, so there is a chance there that you could. That's a 4-point swing, and you're only 4 points back. So it's possible you could at least gain 2 points on them. And Colorado's got a pretty hefty schedule going on. They play Edmonton twice, Vegas, the Jets. So there is a chance for that. But I think I just wonder what, is home ice more beneficial than having your line sort of set going into the playoffs? And I think the one thing that we've seen with this team all year is the lines have been a lot in flux, right? Like, they haven't really found the right mix and that sort of thing. I think you just need to let it breathe a little bit. Let some chemistry kind of take over. Allow the chance for that. But
well, Mike, I guess my point in all of this is, I mean, some of the lines have been together mostly through the entire time, and I mean, it was going to take, like, for Scheif and Connor to actually get split up, it was going to take an extended period of very, very poor results. And you look at last night. I mean, it sometimes it looks like he's looking like for any reason whatsoever to try to get those guys right back together. And it happened last night. And then very quickly, it was a quick 180 and got back to it. Yeah. Like, listen, I would be surprised if at some point those guys aren't back together in the playoffs.
Oh, I know.
But I will say this. I think it would be doing the overall team a disservice to not give even a few game run to see what happens. You can always go back to that. You know what the pros are, and you know what the cons are. And there'll be some times where maybe you need offense and it's just about scoring, and defense be damned. But if you can get into a bit of a roll on the other side and give Connor a bit more of a time to run with Monahan and Perfetti, or Toffoli, who's ever on that line. Yeah. Like, I think there's value and benefit to that. That's why I was kind of surprised that they did what they did last night. But considering how ugly the first half of the second period was, at least give them credit for going back to where they were. And I guess we'll kind of see what things go from here. This Pospisil character, like, I was still pissed off about what happened in the preseason with that, clipping Perfetti right in the chin. He's done it over and over again this year as he's tried to, make a name for himself in the National Hockey League. Never stands up afterwards when challenged because apparently he's had concussions. Well, you know what?
Well, that's,
if that is your history, like, no one should be doing what he's doing right now, but it's even lower when you're pulling that up and then sitting in the fetal position on the ice until the refs get there, like he did last night after that 5-minute major on Morrissey.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like he turtled, right? Because he knew he caught him high, and he knew that. I mean, Neil Pionk was in there immediately,
standing right on top of him, waiting for the guy to get up, and he didn't.
Because, like, I think if he would have got up, he would have got taken a shot to the head with a fist, right? You can't do that. I agree with you, Hassan. I was saying this the last time that this happened with this guy, because there was earlier this year, even a month ago, it was the Vince Dunn hit that he takes, and he gets suspended 3 games for that. I'm like, this guy's not learning, right? And we saw what happened in New York the other day with New York and the Devils, right? Like, eventually you're getting your comeuppance, right? Like, it's coming, and somebody's either going to take a bad run at you, or they're going to grab you, and you're going to have no choice but eat a few fists, right? Like, you can't do that. I'm sort of like, I was surprised. I was surprised in the moment last night that the Jets, they couldn't go after him. I was maybe thinking more of that Kevin Rooney hit. I'm surprised that somebody didn't still take a few swings at him on the ground. That was great restraint from the Jets last night. Let's just say that, because that hit looked bad in the moment. I was a little surprised with Josh Morrissey after the game. Very diplomatic from Josh Morrissey. Let's just say that. I think you said that off the top or after you ran his clips, because I think, and it's interesting to me because I thought Adam Lowry would have thought the Kevin Rooney hit was a little more clean than the Josh Morrissey hit. Josh Morrissey seemed to take just as much blame for that hit than anybody else. And I don't know if he was just being nice about it. I asked Josh how his chin was today. He said it was fine. He's doing okay. It could have ended a lot worse though, right? I mean, the last thing you want is Josh Morrissey getting concussed or whatever, 6 games, 2 weeks out of the playoffs, right? And yeah, and to your point, I mean, I'm surprised the league hasn't come after Pops still today. I don't know if Calgary doesn't play tomorrow, and maybe they're just taking some time with it, but I thought they would have something immediate, especially given that it was literally less than a month ago that he threw the hit on Vince Dunn and was suspended. Like I don't understand the league's player safety thing. We were through this with the Brendan Dillon hit, and then we were through it with the other hit that on that against the Jets. Yeah, that's the one. And so like I don't understand. Is it because Josh was fine? I don't really know.
That's usually what it. I mean, listen, if he was down on the ice,
but it gives you this free reign to like you can. Yeah, I mean, it basically gives you a buffer that if the guy gets up off the ice and whatever and he's fine, then you can just make that hit. I know they talked about this at the GM meetings a couple of weeks ago, last month, late last month. I don't know what's going to change with it. I mean, I know everything's different, and I think Josh saying what he did after the game might have been sort of a detriment too, right? Because the league looks at all those things, right? I mean, if Josh feels like he was a bit at fault for that hit, I just don't know how he can. It was basically a flying elbow in the end, right? He jumps, he launches kind of into him. And he hits him with the elbow in the face. Like I don't understand how the league doesn't see that, regardless of how guy gets hit. And given the history that Pospisil has at this point, I don't know. I don't know how you don't being like, yeah, there should be a hearing, right? I think you should be getting a call from the league, at the very least a fine. But given his history, I think you need to be. It's more than a fine at this point.
No, agreed on that. Hey, listen, just before we go, quick thoughts on this upcoming road trip. We've been calling it the gauntlet through the Central Division. Yeah. I mean, Minnesota, Nashville, Dallas, Colorado, sort of, increasing in difficulty throughout it, from a non-playoff team to a wild card team to the top 2 teams in the division. Especially considering what Gabe Vilardi had just mentioned and what we've been talking about, the up and down nature of their game over the past little while.
Yeah.
Great that they got the wins, but this is I can't think, frankly, of a better dress rehearsal and test for a team considering what's to come in 6 games than this upcoming week on the road.
And that's what Rick Bowness said today, right? He basically said that after practice, saying they're going to see how they stack up. It's late in the year. Minnesota's maybe not playing for much right now, but Nashville, Colorado, and Dallas are all playing for something, whether it's the President's Trophy, whether it's keeping hold of second in the division, or whether it's Winnipeg, who's trying to maybe get home ice advantage, or, at the very least, trying to fine tune their game. I thought Gabe Vilardi last night was brilliant, Huss. Like, I think what he said last night,
truth teller.
Well, and that's it. Like, you go back a few seasons with this team, and I think there's a little more celebrating. I'm not saying they're Toronto Blue Jays popping champagne and that sort of thing.
Get the Oakleys.
But I don't think it's that. It's never really been that. But I think there's been times where it's like this sort of, this exhale after you kind of clinch, and it's like, oh, well, we got here. Let's celebrate that. No, like this, like that's just the start, Huss. Like, and especially the way that this team has played over the last couple months. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, we'll get it going in the playoffs in 6 games time. No, like Gabe Vilardi was, in my opinion, brilliant last night after that game. He went and talked the talk on the ice, and then he exuded a little bit of wisdom after that game, reminding this team. And I know he doesn't wear a C or an A on this team. And as he said, he's not the coach. But he said what needed to be said from the players. And I'm glad that he said what he said, because it's a good reminder, I think, that this team has changed the way that it looks and the way that it kind of approaches these things. They knew last night there was points in that game. They played very poorly. And when we talked about the opening 10 minutes of the second period there, where it just wasn't good enough. And you do that against Colorado and they'll make you pay, right? If you do a 5-on-3 and don't find a way to score against Colorado, could be the difference of the series, right? A 5-minute major and you don't put 1 or 2 past them, that could be the difference in the series. And Gabe Vilardi was very quick to point out that this team has clinched, and that's great, but, and the key word for him was but, in most of those things that he said that he needs to go. So yeah, this road trip, I think for me, is very much it's a litmus test, right? It's going to see, you're going to face Colorado. I think you're going to get a good game against Colorado. Dallas, you've struggled against them all season. You got shut out the last time you played them. And then Nashville. Like, Nashville is a team that, who knows? I'm very curious to see what Nashville can do given the way that they've been playing. And Minnesota. Minnesota is a game that the Jets can't look past, right? Like, I think they made a good call in coming back after the Minnesota game and not going to Nashville. It's almost like, it's sort of their mini, okay, you're not going to the Sphere sort of thing that Nashville had. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good test, but it's an opportunity versus team. They don't have the pressure of making the playoffs anymore, but they do have the pressure of still becoming a team that actually can compete in the playoffs, and that's what the next 6 games will be for this team.
Scotty, have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you next week, and looking forward to chatting with you as we get closer and into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Have a great one.
Indeed. See you guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
All right. There is our buddy Scott Billeck. Folks, it's Friday, so let's raise a glass to the weekend. Today's show is sponsored by Generic Lager from Little Brown Jug. Your basic lager, just better. LBJ made the taste you crave with the name that says it all with this impressively standard lager. Whether you're at a Jets game like we were there last night or watching from home, grab a cold one and cheers. You can grab it at Little Brown Jug in the Exchange District at 336 William Avenue, your local LC or vendor. Now, of course, at all your sporting events. And hey, speaking of LBJ, for those of you that are really into this amazing women's basketball tournament that's going on in the NCAA, we talked about the record-breaking numbers of the LSU-Iowa game on Monday. The Final Four goes tonight. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Beckers. LBJ is having a watch party for the final on Sunday. So if you're in, you want to grab some friends and watch some high-level women's hoops, LBJ, the place to do it on Sunday. I believe Sunday afternoon or evening. I'll have to check the time. But whenever the game is on, LBJ's having a party. Pop down there and check it out. Have to thank our friends at Wallace & Wallace. I'm looking outside. It's beautiful. And Wallace & Wallace, the fencing experts in Winnipeg since 1946, are getting ready to go to work for you. Now, orders are already coming in, and that's what happens when you've been doing it for over 70 years. But they've been booking, and they expect to be starting installations on fences by the end of April. Right now, if you book before April 15th, Wallace & Wallace can guarantee a May installation date so you can enjoy an entire summer on your side of a brand new fence. Don't wait and end up at the back of the line for a new fence from Wallace & Wallace. Give them a call today, 452-2700, and get your new fence project in action. I have to say, Remo, maybe if you can, pull that picture up that I posted from yesterday. We all know that, guys, if you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe, you got to head down to F Apparel. Well, we did get the crew together, and I snapped a pic from the bar at the beginning when a bunch of the WST ticket holders were together. And in the back happened to be Connor Rabchak looking like $1 million US tax-free in his suit from F Apparel. And as you can see, Remis checking out the duds. Connor's looking great down in the scrum, working with us. We had to make sure he looked good. We hooked him up with the suit from F Apparel. He was looking amazing yesterday, and there it is. Remis and Connor checking out the new threads on the new suit last night. So if you need one, custom suits beginning at $400. They've got chinos, golf pants, shirts, both tucked and untucked styles, all the menswear accessories. It's all at F Apparel. And don't forget, if you're on a wedding party or having a wedding, 15% discount when you get the suits from F. You can check them out online, make an appointment to come in for a fitting That's EPHapparel.com. And pop by and see him at 190 Smith Street downtown. And while we're talking spring and getting the good vibes, I cannot wait to get to Aikens Lake this summer. If you're looking for a world-class fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot. As great as the world-class fishing is, the hospitality might actually be better. AikensLake.com for information. As I mentioned, still looking for a guide or two for the year. So if there's any young fishing enthusiasts out there that want to spend the summer in paradise, get a resume into Pitt at AikensLake.com or hit them up on the socials for Aikens Lake. All right, let's get Murat in here. Nice Friday treat. Jets clinched. We made sure there was no WST curse last night, and now we get Murat attached joining us on a Friday. How are you?
Hey, Huss. I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing great. I mean, there was a lot on the line yesterday. We said that after going 0-3 in our first 3 games, the future of the WST pack was on the line. The Jets got it done for us, and of course, clinched a playoff spot in the process. Although the game was interesting. I mean, there were some really good parts. There were some not so good parts. Some interesting line changes that were then changed back. A lot to chew on, but overall, let's start off with the significance of clinching at this point and where this team is at heading out onto the road for the final road trip and an incredible test for the Stanley Cup playoffs.
There was a time when Winnipeg Jets 2024 playoff spot was an unthinkable phrase. You know, before the signings of Scheifele and Hellebuck, before that Dubois trade yielded Vilardi, whose hat trick was really nice storytelling to clinch that spot. Before this season began and that 5-on-5 defense improved as much as it did, little unthinkable there. But once we saw the team storm out to that first half of the season that it did, it was a sense that it was inevitable. And that was just a matter of what night was it going to happen. I'm glad for your guys' sake that it happened on a WST night. I got some pretty amusing DMs from folks who were in and amongst your crowd last night. Hello. And just really what it is for the Jets, from my perspective, is a ticket to the dance. It's an opportunity. It's a shot. You get it enough times. You give yourself, a shot. They're going to be in tough, quite likely, probably a tough first-round opponent. Most likely Colorado, it looks like, but they've gotten themselves to the doorstep of opportunity. 6 games left to clean up some things, and they do have some things to clean up, but it is a good team, and they deserve what they've done.
Let's talk just quickly. I mean, we won't spend a lot of time on this, but, there's been so much discourse about the top 6, the lines, Ehlers and Connor. We finally saw Scheifele and Connor on different lines after a really extended stretch of ugly results. And then it took 1 5-on-3 yesterday afterwards and a nice pass from Perfetti to Ehlers, and all of a sudden it was right back. What did you make of the way they changed it? Like, is this coaching staff just looking for a reason to get those guys back together? And why do you think it was so short-lived with the return to the way they started later on in the second period?
Oh, let me say this in a one-word answer to one of your questions. Yes, the coaching staff and team is looking for that Connor, Scheifele, Vilardi group. That's plan A, and they're going to have to be convinced that that isn't the way to go. I'm still not sure that no matter what happens in these 6 games that we won't see it return down the stretch or in the playoffs. It's really the look that they want to have work. It's also worth noting that, we get into this stuff. We have opinions, right? We can say Ehlers, Scheifele, and Vilardi outscored their opponents 15-4 in the stretch they were together. They led the team to the first place in the Western Conference. They were on fire. And okay, so the Jets should in quotes, but the Jets should go back to them because they were good. And okay, so you say something like that, you're obviously right. But hockey is a chaotic game, and you can put a line like that together. And they weren't dominant to start that game. They were good. They had the flow of play, but they weren't. Winnipeg didn't explode out of the gates. I think they were scored on the other night as well. Like or at least it was their shift that led to the Dillon penalty. So they're not perfect, but they're good. And hockey is chaotic enough that you can make what I think of as the right choice and not get paid for it immediately. Last night, it was hilarious how immediately, okay, Winnipeg gets that goal. You go with those lines. Calgary takes over the game. Hems Winnipeg in. 2 shifts for Connor Scheifele and Vilardi that are hemmed in their own zone. They get scored on. Bowness switches back. To his credit, Winnipeg takes the game over. You will never see decisions come with as clear-cut flow of play changes as that. So I credit to him. He saw that it wasn't working. Strange that he pinned it on Perfetti and Ehlers not working.
That was the funniest thing about the whole thing. And shout out to Connor for asking the question. But it was almost like it was solely to do with those guys. And I mean, listen, maybe it's one of those things where if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. But I can't imagine that truly was the catalyst of putting the lines back together. It was exactly what you just mentioned, those 2 long shifts and the goal going in their own net.
It's got to be. And yeah, credit to Connor as well, the man in the suit with the question.
Looking good last night.
Elicited the answer. I mean, that's fine work. So, I mean, yeah, for me, Rick Bowness is a coach, like most coaches, who have big rocks and little rocks, right? There are like big, important items that you got to get right. So for him, Adam Lowry, Mason Appleton, and when healthy, Nino Niederreiter, that's one of those. Connor Hellebuyck's your starting goalie. There are these obvious things. Another big rock is what happens on Mark Scheifele's line. And plan A is clearly Scheifele with Connor and Vilardi. That's the trio they like. I think that they're hoping that works better than it does. So to talk about your lineup switches by talking about maybe what I would think of as one of Bowness's secondary or tertiary priorities, Perfetti and Ehlers, that sounds like misdirection to me.
It was, I had to bring it up because, it's been such a big topic. And to your point, there's never been such a wild swing when something happened. And I'm sure there was a lot of people going, what the heck are we doing? And a lot of I told you so's the minute that game got tied up at 2-2. Listen, I'm with you, and I think there's a high likelihood at some point in the playoffs those guys are going to be back together. I do think, though, it is in their best interests to run this for a couple of games and see how things go. Give both of the lines an opportunity to play, gel, get some positive momentum going forward. And if it doesn't happen, you can always go back to that. It's almost inevitable that at one point they will. But if you can run it like this with a healthy roster, allowing options on line 2 as well, including Tyler Toffoli, I think it gives them a few more ways that they can go, and frankly, ways that, you can challenge a team like Colorado where you're going to have to be at your best. That business at the start of the second period, or we can look at, I'm not singling that line out at all, just solely, but some of the lulls that they've had in their game, you do that against the Avalanche in a playoff game, and I'm pretty sure that you're not ending out, unless Connor Hellebuyck simply doesn't allow a goal, you're probably not ending up on the right side of the ledger.
100%. You can't leave items like that on the table against Colorado. You can't go to those margins and not get as much as you can out of the lines that you have against a team like Colorado. That's too tough. And I want to give credit to Kyle Connor, who has been buzzing offensively in the last couple of games. He took over parts of the previous game with 3 of the most beautiful secondary assists you'll ever see. There's a lot there. But that, when you look at Winnipeg's top line, and I'm going to put this in terms of Colorado, when you look at Winnipeg's top line, no matter who's on it, Scheifele with Vilardi and Ehlers or with Vilardi and Connor, in zone, 5 men defending that zone, that's not an elite defensive line. It's capable, it's fine, there are things, but you're not getting elite 5-on-5 defense, not like an Adam Lowry line would do if you're in the defensive zone. That's true for both versions of that line. You look at the way Colorado ran its bench, and it's won a home matchup against the Winnipeg Jets this season. It was pure power versus power. McKinnon at Scheifele. They leaned all gas, no brakes on that. That's what Winnipeg's going to get. Winnipeg is going to spend time in its D zone against that line if that matchup is what happens. So what can Winnipeg do about it? The difference is going to be that Ehlers helps that line not necessarily defend any better than the Connor version does, but not need to defend. because that line is better in transition when Ehlers is on it. They make better plays up the ice. They get caught stretching the zone less. They get the puck out of the zone and into the offensive zone more often. So even if they're not better at the gritty elements of defense than with Connor there, they're going to have to spend less time in their D zone, which against Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and now Jonathan Drouin has just exploded with that line. That's vital, vital stuff, particularly on the road.
Murat, the defense pairings, what did you think when they shook things up? And, much like we talked about, a very familiar look up front on that top line, and certainly Adam Lowry's line and the fourth line for the most part, will we see... Do you think in game one we'll be seeing the pairings, Pionk back with Dillon and DeMello with Morrissey, or are they going to run with this a little bit longer?
I expect that we'll see Morrissey and DeMello back together. The track record is too long. The players are too comfortable and familiar with each other. And I understand there's a bet Winnipeg's making. Like, Neil Pionk has struggled. And I know Rick Bowness has been full of praise for him out loud in the media, but Neil Pionk has struggled. There are giveaways in the D zone. There's defensive zone coverage lapses. There's some minuses building up. So if you give him to Morrissey, you put them in as offensive context as you can, you hope that line is, or that pairing is going to be good enough. And then what happens beneath them is going to be good enough as well to improve things overall. But that Morrissey-DeMello combination has been so good for so long, particularly in matchup roles. You want to go back to the games Winnipeg has played against Colorado this year. At home, Lowry got the matchup. On the road, Colorado went at Scheifele. But the one constant is Morrissey and DeMello playing at least half of, if not more than, their 5-on-5 minutes against Nathan MacKinnon. And I think that Winnipeg had success that way. The defensive excellence is too strong. The chemistry is there. And they have the track record of going toe-to-toe. I'm anticipating that's the playoff matchup Winnipeg gets. It's Colorado, which makes MacKinnon the number one thing to worry about, which makes Morrissey and DeMello the number one matchup pair to put up again.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that. And you know what? Listen, I think, and again, you're right. We've all seen a recent struggle from Pionk. I thought it was interesting the way that they handled it, trying to, put him with Josh, your number one defenseman, a guy that, carries a very, very heavy load. Because I think you move him down to the third pairing and all of a sudden, his better matchups and stuff, they're in on Neil Pionk. I mean, he's on the right side. He's going to be part of that top four in all likelihood. So, moving him out of that and getting him in situations that he won't see in the spot that he's in the playoffs, I'm not sure that makes sense. So you put him with Josh Morrissey, and it's a credit to Morrissey just how important he is and how versatile he is in both ends of what he's doing, that, they sort of want to allow him to maybe help bring Pionk's game back up to where it was for the better part of the first 50 games.
I think that that's what there is to it. I think the idea is Pionk might be able to do a little bit less with Morrissey as his partner. Morrissey's going to be stretching up ice pretty often. He's jumping in as a second wave of offense fairly often. So Pionk can get back to, ideally he can get back to the things that he does well when he's on. Because there's a pretty big gulf between Pionk at his best and Pionk at his worst. At his best, he is a mobile, aggressive, hard-hitting, good gapping defenseman who challenges people at the blue line and tracks well as they gain in the zone and keeps them away from the middle of the ice. When he's struggling, he's trying to make plays in the defensive zone that lead to giveaways. And he's made a couple of them recently. You saw goals against for that. There's some puck management issues with that. There is some coverage issues with that. I think that putting the two of them together is Winnipeg's attempt to sort of simplify what his ask is, because Morrissey is going to do so much, especially on the offensive side of the puck, that Brendan Dillon, to his credit, has been so good at defense, but doesn't come with that same amount of offensive flair. I wonder though, I haven't seen enough from Colin Miller to think there's your top four replacement. You can put Pionk on a third pair that just overpowers its opposition because he's genuinely good at certain offensive elements of the game. I haven't seen enough there. / Winnipeg, like you said, is all in on Pionk. There's a commitment to this player. It's in flux, and I'm not sure it's 100% sorted out.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. And I mean, listen, I'll kind of echo your thoughts. I mean, from what we have seen of Colin Miller, I don't think there's been anything in the brief body of work since he's been in a Winnipeg Jet that suggests that he should be the guy or he is the guy to do that. Maybe that changes if he gets a few more games over the last little bit, but I would be surprised if they didn't go. And the one thing, and I know there's some people that are on Pionk and said he could be an Achilles heel in the playoffs. I will remind people, and again, this is last year, but if you go back to the playoff series against Vegas, particularly when Josh Morrissey got hurt, he was carrying an incredibly heavy load, and if I'm not mistaken, led the Jets in scoring in that series with 7 points in 5 games. I mean, it is not like it has been a consistent struggle for the last 2 years, and I would argue he struggled far more last year's regular season than this year and was able to elevate his level of play when the team really needed it in the playoffs.
I would agree with that assessment. I mean, he stepped up in a big way. Even the tail end of his stretch run last year, you saw that aggression and mobility come back. Then, unfortunately, the Morrissey injury and his role, Pionk's role, increases. He was up to that task until Game 5, I would say. That's how I would characterize it. Game 5 wasn't literally the first shift, but that first goal against in transition, I think, do I have it right that it was Pionk in the corner who fires a hand grenade to Dylan, who fires a hand grenade up the blue line? The Vegas Golden Knights come. Like, that whole moment was, I don't like. But
there was nothing to like about Game 5, and he had a ton of company, as Rick Bowness let everybody know after Game 5.
100%, yes. And also there were 4 games before that I genuinely believe that he was good in. That moment still stands out in my memory. I agree with the assessment that this season has been better than last in terms of regular season, and that he's been able to elevate his game in the past. Bit of a wild card for me. I'm not all in or all out on his ability to control play as a top 4D. I'm a little bit nervous if he's getting big minutes against Colorado's big guns, though.
Well, speaking of Colorado, it is likely that the Jets play Colorado, I think, just based on the numbers. But regardless of that, who would be a better matchup for the Winnipeg Jets, Colorado or Dallas? I mean, they've had more success against Colorado in the season. They haven't had much of any success against Dallas. Dallas is one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Part of me still is just, I mean, when you think about McKinnon and Makar and Rantanen, I mean, they have that high level talent, and they've done it before. And this is the team that had a big time playoff disappointment last year. I mean, they're an intimidating bunch, but I mean, do you see much of a difference from a Jet perspective as to either matchup?
You know, I would have said I prefer Colorado as a matchup through most of this season, because I believe in Winnipeg's ability to desperately tread water against the elites, like especially with that Adam Lowry line out there. Obviously, McKinnon, Rantanen, they're going to create, they're going to score. There is something about, I guess, Adam Lowry's line that I believe in heading into the playoffs in that capacity. And then I would traditionally see Colorado's game as one that Winnipeg's offensive players could have success with. You saw it in the 4-2 win. You saw it in the 6-2 win. Winnipeg has had success against Colorado. Colorado went out and got some depth. There is no soft underbelly to this Colorado Avalanche team anymore. Casey Middlestad has fit in well. Drouin has bumped up to that top line, and he's been excellent. Walker's put up points. They've been playing a quality game from top to bottom that I think of as playoff ready more than the first half of the season Colorado Avalanche were. Dallas, purely in terms of style, is probably the harder matchup for me, the way that I look at it. I think that Dallas is a more disciplined team in terms of how patient they are in 5-on-5 defense. I think that they're better at counterpunching. I think that there are little moments in the game where Winnipeg falls off of it, where the commitment goes, the one back check is missed, the one puck management mistake is made. Gabriel Velarde called it a whole period when he talked to us last night. But this happens. Winnipeg has these moments. And I think Dallas is one of the most dangerous teams at knowing when to rush up ice and make you pay for that.
You know, I'm just looking at the remaining schedule for both of these teams. And again, Dallas has 3 points on the Avalanche right now. Dallas's schedule, they get the Blackhawks on Saturday. You can pretty much put the 2 points in the win column right now. Then it's a head-to-head game on Sunday. And funny enough, second end of a back-to-back for the Stars. Well, the Avs are in Edmonton tonight, and then we'll fly home. So it will be Dallas on the second end of a back-to-back. So that's an advantageous matchup for Colorado. The rest, Dallas is then on a 4-game homestand to finish up the season. Buffalo, Jets, Seattle, and St. Louis. Meanwhile, Colorado, after going to Edmonton, playing Dallas, host the Wild, Winnipeg, go to Vegas, and finish the season on the 18th against Edmonton, which could potentially be a matchup that determines the Art Ross winner. It's quite clear that the strength of schedule advantage is for Dallas. But I would say that the head-to-head matchup on Saturday and then what the Winnipeg Jets do potentially against both of those teams on this road trip could end up being the difference between who actually wins the division and who the Jets play.
Yeah, that brings some excitement to this road trip, right? The last one of the season, and they're going against essentially the two teams that they may play. That's, I think, exciting if you're a Jets fan or media member. The thing for me, I think Dallas' schedule favors them. I think they're winning the division. I see that as the most likely thing. There is a prayer for Winnipeg as the home team against Colorado, though, based on that strength of schedule.
Absolutely.
And if Winnipeg wins that game, okay, there's a 4-point game. That brings things a little bit closer. And then I think there's just 1 point between them, depending on what happens during the rest of the stretch run. That's possible. That would be a little bit nice. I think I checked the Athletics projections, right? They look at the strength of schedule. They look at the points and all that. And, it spits out 87% odds. It's Colorado and Winnipeg. That's pretty high number. That's why I'm leaning as high as it is. But there is this little outside shot that Winnipeg catches Colorado and gains home ice advantage, which just for my own comfort, spending the first 2 games in my commuting from my living room would be pretty neat.
Oh, I cannot wait for it. It's going to be neat. I'm going to be heading out. I'm going to go to the Nashville game on Tuesday and then come back, watch the Masters, see what happens in the Dallas and Colorado games, finish up a couple home ones, and then it's time to throw the whites on here at Canada Life Center. Before we go, did Bones talk at all today about the plan for the goalies over the course of the last 6 games? And or even coming up on the weekend? And how do you think that's going to shake out, knowing that the team is clinched right now and it's likely pretty much we know where the team is going to finish?
So I got to be honest. I was writing. I did not hear today.
Okay.
So
we'll see.
I think like a couple of days ago, he was asked, about Connor Hellebuck, and he said that Connor Hellebuck will have played the fewest games in his career to date, and they were happy with that. And it seemed like the sense was Brossoit would get in there a little bit over the next little while. What the exact day-to-day plan is, I'm not sure.
And just speaking of goaltending, great nod for LB to get that Masterton Award. I think a very deserving. And Billeck talked about the injuries that he's been through before. But I just still can't speak highly enough about how he handled a situation that I think changed significantly from what he thought he was getting into when he signed with this team in the offseason, with all the uncertainty of the future of Hellebuck, which changed so much with the press release on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about how his expectations changed. But you might think Winnipeg was an appealing place to sign because it seemed as though there was some opportunity there. Obviously, they share agents. They know each other well. Did he have any inside information or what have you? I think that's an interesting situation. He did say, it was myself, Mike, Ted, and Kenny talking to LB on yesterday still. I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. We were talking to LB about this. And what Brossoit's focus really seemed to be on was, I guess, how Winnipeg was the ideal place for him to bet on himself. Because if you look at where he is in the terms of his career, he's trying to prove he's a starter. He's coming off of surgery and then an injury. He reached a high height in terms of how well he was playing, but he had to prove to the world, the league, and himself that he was taking a step forward this year. Where was the best spot for that? And maybe you're onto it, that there was a chance he could have emerged as a starter because Hellebuck's future was uncertain. But even still, with Hellebuck here, that relationship, the relationship with the teammates, staff, the city, it's worked out perfectly, I think, for Brossoit to be his best self this season. And credit to him for that nod. I also want to say, Huss, I know you got other people to talk to, but I had some, so we each give, I think, a first, a second, and a third place vote amongst the PWHA members of Winnipeg. And I also had votes for Iafallo and for Neil Pionk, because I don't want to understate what it's like to lose, one of your closest friends and then persevere and show dedication to the game in terms of maintaining a quality of play too. So a lot of worthy nominations or nominees possible from Winnipeg, and they deserve some not to be forgotten here. And LB deserves a lot of praise for being an elite backup, proving to the world I think he can start when the time comes.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, that offseason, the offseason opportunities that come LB's way are going to be really interesting. I mean, like I said before, I'm not sure there's a team that's going to say, hey, you're our starter, here's the contract. But much like I thought he might think he was coming into a situation here last season, a place where there isn't a clear-cut number one goalie and a legitimate, fair competition and opportunity to take that job. And certainly he's earned that every step of the way with what he's done for the Winnipeg when Connor Hellebuyck hasn't been in net.
Yeah, and he's been able to, he compared it to the difference between treading water and swimming almost, right? He's had health items before. He had hip and core surgery. His groin injury in the playoffs was linked to that. It's part of the same system, he was saying. So a lot of what his prep has been able to do in the past has had to deal with, I guess, limitations to his body and certain things that he was working on as he was getting his movements right. And he was able to say that this year, perhaps for the first time, it has been just working forward, not maintaining, not rehabbing, but just building his game. And he's been able to change his focus in terms of his preparation, in terms of the movements that he works on. And he feels like he's seeing more consistency out of his body and then more consistent high-end results out of it too. I mean, with the injuries and surgeries that he's had, there's reasons to believe that that's very real, and that this, even at 31, is the beginning of a continued step forward for the player.
Well, he's earned the opportunity, and I think everyone here in Winnipeg will be wishing him well wherever he ends up, because it's as much as they'd love to keep him, probably unlikely that they'll have the money or the opportunity for a guy that certainly has deserved maybe a bigger role. Murat, great chat as always. We'll look forward to everything you've got coming up heading into the playoffs at The Athletic, and we'll catch up next week.
Thanks, Huss. Talk to you.
Great stuff. There's Murat Attach. You can follow him at WPG Murat on X, formerly known as Twitter. And, of course, you can check out his work in theathletic.com. Do have to thank the wonderful folks at Princess Auto for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Listen, this is a national company, but founded right here in Winnipeg, and makes their home and headquarters right here in Winnipeg. And, whether you're looking at the Zamboni at the Jet games or the newly minted Princess Auto Stadium is home of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Gold Eyes as well, supporting our teams, and, of course, WST every step of the way, and supporting Manitobans as well, because, of course, spring is here, and you know what that means. Those lists, the lists are getting big, and Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around to take and tackle everything on your list or start something new. Head on down to Princess Auto. 2 locations in Winnipeg, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, and you can always shop online 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. Cheers to the weekend and our friends at Canadian Club. As I mentioned, time for a victory CC after the game last night, and toast to another whiteout here in Winnipeg with the Jets officially making the Stanley Cup playoffs. And as we get into this nicer weather, cannot wait to enjoy CC and more at Princess Auto Stadium when the Bombers are back. As Canadian Club is the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This weekend, pop by your local Manitoba liquor marts and make it Canada's finest. Canadian Club. Well, with everybody knowing that the playoffs are on, it's time to get down to Royal Sports and get your whites ready for the upcoming playoffs. Anyone that's been to Royal knows that it is the biggest and best sports superstore with a massive selection of Winnipeg Jets merchandise, unlike anything you'll see anywhere else. All the jerseys, and of course you can get one, customized with your name and number of your favorite player, or maybe of yourself, or one of those funny things people put on the back of their jerseys at Bomber games. Whatever you need, Royals got you covered for the playoffs and for spring with the latest in soccer, baseball, softball, tennis, and more, arriving daily. Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway. Shop local and make it the best. Royal Sports. And don't forget to follow them on Insta at Royal Sports Pembina for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. And Jets out on the road right now, starting off tomorrow at 3 p.m. against the Wild in Minnesota. No better place to get together with the gang to watch the Jets on the road than your local Boston Pizza. Jets pick-a-player games at all local Boston Pizzas where you can win prizes when the Jets score. Gourmet pizzas, world-famous BP wings, and maybe a few ice-cold schooners for the weekends as well. It's all waiting for you at BP. If you are staying at home, get it hot and fresh to your door by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, Marbles coming up. Pay attention in the chat when Remis opens it. But right now, let's welcome in Bomber and CFL legend Andrew Harris. What's up, boss? How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Vibes are high around here. Jets are going to the playoffs, and lots of hockey talk, but some pretty big news for you. I thought you might play forever. Apparently, that's not happening.
Honestly, I wish I could, and up until about 2 years ago, I thought I was invincible, but Father Time definitely crept up on me, and injuries start piling up, and it's it for me though. I'm calling it a career, and it was definitely a wild roller coaster, and lots of great moments, and I'm happy to announce officially retiring, and looking forward to the next step.
It seems only appropriate and perfect, frankly, that after coming back to your hometown of Winnipeg and making such an impact and really being one of the guys that built this championship culture in Winnipeg, that the official retirement will include a one-day contract with the Bombers to retire in blue and gold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely, thrilled and honored to be able to do this. Signing with the Bombers back in 2016 was a dream come true, and the relationships built throughout my tenure in Winnipeg, from the community to the fan base to my teammates, the staff in the locker room, and then ultimately the success on the field. It was an absolute no-brainer on my end to want to hang up as a Bomber, and and then talking with the organization, they were excited about the opportunity too. So I've been joking around, still trying to work on the signing bonus with Wade right now, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for the night. April 27th, I'll be signing that one-day contract, at the Met, and then premiering, my documentary, Running Back Relentless, which is exciting as well. So I'm looking forward to both sides. But yeah, as far as the Bombers are concerned, I mean, it was an ugly split to say the least at times, and after the dust kind of settles, and you realize impact you had on the team and the people around the organization and in the community. It's part of the business, and it is what it is. And I'm just really excited to have that closure now, and put that stamp and put a bow on the box, so to speak, as far as being done with it, and make sure that's a blue and gold bow as well too. So I'm excited.
Well, I mean, listen, it's the only way that I think most people here would assume that you would go out. I mean, the impact you had. When you think back to signing here, could you ever imagine just how well it would go as a Bomber in the heights that both you and the team would get to, considering what this organization was previously before you showed up?
Yeah, I mean, I look back from 2016 to 2021, before I left, and the growth of the team, the locker room, the individuals, that were kind of there from the start, and still there. Just the growth in them, and then all the additions, it really was night and day. And the Bombers, when I first came in 2016, the culture was solid, but there wasn't a winning attitude there. And I think, a lot of key guys that, helped contribute to that, and, the great coaching staff that kind of just stuck with, their morals and the way that they kind of run things there. And it really showed true value. And obviously, the Bombers are the cream of the crop as far as culture, as far as, their day-to-day, the players that they still have and are still acquiring, and the people that want to stay here, not just for the money or trying to move on to go somewhere else, so that just shows a lot of what this team has been built up of, and the excitement that people have from the playing standpoint to stay here, and drawing any of the guys that want to be around the organization as well.
Yeah, you won 4 Grey Cups in 3 different cities. I can't imagine there'll be anything that can really compare to that 2019 season. I mean, with the fact that it was your hometown, your role on the team, and the fact that it had been almost 30 years since Winnipeg had a championship, and what that meant to the people. And if you didn't know before, you certainly saw it when the city was celebrating with you and your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, that season was an emotional one for me, in a lot of ways, and capping it off the way we did. Just be on that stage, with the guys, and that's one memory I'll never forget. I'll cherish that forever, and one of the greatest moments of my life. So for me, it's having that closure and enjoyment and reflection on the things you were able to accomplish. Definitely puts a stamp on everything, and that 2019 season was absolutely epic, and the parade was a whole nother bag of worms. That was absolutely nuts, right? So. Just impactful moments in my life that shaped who I am, and things moments I'll never forget, for sure.
Andrew Harris is with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Now, Andrew, you sort of teased the event on April 27th. Before we get to the details and how people can be a part of it, tell us about this film that you've been involved with, Running Back Relentless. This is a project that's been going on, I imagine, over the course of the past year or so. Tell us about just the idea to get it done, who put it together, and what's involved that people will be seeing when it premieres.
Yeah, so I teamed up with Upper Canada Films. Taylor Prestige is a guy that I used to work with back when the CFL was tied with Team Shaw. So we did a couple of projects together prior to this, and he was really pushing me to, after the split. From going to Toronto, we kind of started talking about doing this, and then once that kind of was cemented, the following year we're like, hey, let's follow you throughout the season, and we're kind of gonna go back into early life for myself, and my growth throughout football, and all the different things that kind of went on in my life, and it all really came together well. The access they had was unreal. They were really able to come on the road with me a couple of times, and just throughout training camp, and it was absolutely the whole process was for me. I put myself in a vulnerable position, just talking about some of the issues and some of the things have kind of gone on, but it's also been very therapeutic in a way. And revealing some of the raw, dark places that I was at, and how I got out of those places as well, and to ultimately where I'm at now. So I'm really excited to share, these ideas and not these ideas, but these moments, and the ups and downs. And the biggest goal for me is the fact that I was able to go through these issues and still kind of perform at a high level, and get out of these dark places that I kind of was in moments. And I think the big thing for me is if I can help impact or influence someone in a positive way, it's a goal for me. And so we're excited. I'm excited for the event. April 27th, 7:00. You can get your tickets at 33film.ca. Doors open at 7. It's going to be, black tie kind of event, complimentary drinks and food. And, the film is about 86 minutes. And, so we'll have a little retirement party, watch the film and do a little Q&A, and then hang out, and, just enjoy the people in the community that were there with me along the way, and from my coaching staff to trainers to family, and then whoever else wants to get a part of this and be a part of it as well. We're looking forward to seeing everyone, and can't wait.
So again, mark it down, Bomber fans. April 27th, the premiere. Doors open at 7. 33film.ca. How long did this project take to put together, like from start to finish?
All right, it's we had so much footage from before. I think we had over 120 hours of shooting. So lots of footage, and you can compile that down to 86 minutes. It's been.
Have you seen the whole finished project yet?
I've seen a raw cut. and a couple people have seen it in the Bombers organization as well, and the feedback's been really great. So again, watching my own story and getting emotional is one where you've lived it, but you don't really realize all the things you've kind of been through, and and there's definitely a sense of pride and honesty and openness about it. So again, I'm really excited to kind of share this with everyone, and it'll be on Apple TV in the summer as well too. So if you can't make the premiere, look out for Apple TV in June.
How are you enjoying post-play life? I mean, is it you're like one of us now? What is it? I mean, you've been a football player. It's been your life for so long. I'm sure you've thought about the transition, but does it feel new?
Yeah. So the position I'm in now, I was kind of working part-time during my last 6-7 playing years. So the transition has been smooth. I'm starting to really get the itch to start competing. I'm thinking about playing some senior hockey here in Ontario, where I'm living now. So I'm not a golfer, but I need to keep that competitive itch or that competitive side of myself going. So, but other than that, I mean, life's great. I mean, we got a great house here and don't really know too many people where I'm living, but so just focusing on family and work and helping grow another organization and business and be successful off the field as much as I can be.
You ever walk down the street or on a business call, look at someone and just want to blow them up, truck them like you used to do in the field?
No, that doesn't happen. No, not yet. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, when I was back in Winnipeg, I was playing lots of beer league hockey but there's not too much of that going on over here. So I'm starting to get a little fat, and I got to do something.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, listen, we've had great conversations over the years, and I think goes without saying. We really focus on what you've done here in Winnipeg, starting here in Winnipeg, coming back here and helping the Bombers get to the top of the mountain. But, I mean, the career is historic. You're in the record books and got those championship rings. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this film, but also seeing, the next chapter for Andrew Harris. And we'll look forward to talking about that on the 27th as well. But this is a great chance to get you back here, do it the right way, signing that contract with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to finish it up, and then showing Bomber fans and CFL fans this project that there's been so much work going into that finally debuts on the 27th. This should be a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just got to make sure you get your butt there, man.
That's the plan. That's the plan, dude.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey, listen, congratulations on everything. Obviously, first and foremost, the career, but also the film. Again, 33film.ca is the website. Running Back Relentless. The premiere is at the Met, April 27th, 7 p.m., and then the film's going to be on Apple TV a little bit later on. Andrew, we'll look forward to seeing you very soon and catching up, and congratulations again on everything.
Appreciate it today, man. Take care.
All right, great stuff with Andrew Harris. And Remo, how about that, eh? Retiring a Bomber and a big event for that movie, which should be quite interesting. I've heard a lot about it behind the scenes being made over the last little bit. And nice for Andrew to pop on, kind of officially announce the retirement, but it will finish with a one-day contract as a Bomber at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's awesome. I see a number of people in chat as well and saying, hey, Andrew, if you need a team to play hockey on, I got a spot, and most notably T. Will in chat. He
can play.
He's pretty quick, man. He's pretty quick out there. So all the best to Andrew Harris. This movie sounds like a pretty cool event. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And also, an event to go to as well. So congratulations on an incredible career. I mean, I couldn't believe you said all-time leading rusher in CFL history.
Nuts.
Like, that's not with a Canadian rusher. That's just anyone. So pretty awesome. 4-time Grey Cup champion. Like, I didn't even know, you put it in the chat. I wasn't going to write like, former Blue Bomber. I mean, it could write Blue Bomber legend, future CFL Hall of Famer. Well, I did 4-time Grey Cup champion. Incredible list of accomplishments for Andrew Harris, and nice to tie a bow on the career with the one-day contract with the Bombers. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I still think that his signing is arguably the most impactful free agent signing in CFL history. And, I know it's a big take, but when you think about what he did for Winnipeg, starting that culture change, and, along with Mike O'Shea and a bunch of the other stars, but he in a lot of ways was the heartbeat of that team for a long time. And of course, we all know about the Grey Cup championships in 19 and 21. It's interesting to see him talk about the way that it ended, but you knew that it would end this way. So anyways, great to have Andrew on the show. And again, 33film.ca for information on the event at the Met that he'll be at, and welcoming Bomber fans to kind of watch him sign the final contract with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, retire, and the premiere of the movie. All right, marbles are open right now! Exclamation mark marbles! If you just pop in, got a couple minutes to do that before we get to the Coolbet lines. I do want to do a quick golf report. Actually, it's a nice little segue into the Coolbet lines, because the Valero Texas Open right now, and as I'll tell you, we are having the hottest week ever in the lock shop. Absolutely nuclear. Everything we are touching is hitting. And we are on Ash K. Badia at 50-1 to win the Valero Texas Open. He has a 5-shot lead right now over a group of players, including Brendan Todd. He's 6 up on Rory McIlroy, who's at 5 under right now. And of course, this is the last call to get to Augusta. We'll be talking a lot of golf next week, and all of our golf reports brought to you by the great people and folks at Breezy Bend Golf and Country Club. Cannot wait to get back out on the links at Breezy this year. If you're thinking about finding out about membership information in the future, the waiting list, or of course, an unbelievable spot for weddings and more, go to breezybend.ca. Our pal Corey Johnson would love to talk to you about it and take care of you. All right, let's get to the Coolbet lines. And as I mentioned, we've gone full nuclear this week in the lock shop. 4-0 on the daily play. We have cashed on Tuesday was plus 900. On Wednesday was plus 575. Yesterday was plus 525 for the partner parlay. And thanks to that second assist on the empty netter by Mark Scheifele, the WST parlay cashed at plus 500 yesterday. So we're just going to try and keep this rolling right now. As far as the games go tonight in the National Hockey League, all the teams, or a bunch of the teams that are in this race in the East, are playing, and they're all underdogs. Philly is plus 107 in Buffalo. Buffalo minus 126. The new Russian goalie Fedotov is getting the start. The Hurricanes are a big minus 265 favorite against the Capitals, who lost a big game last night to the Penguins. Caps are plus 220. As we continue going down, the Red Wings, who need a win, they're right in that mix. They're plus 119 home dogs to the New York Rangers at minus 141. You've got the Kraken at the Ducks. Kraken minus 166 road faves. Vegas on minus 174 road fave against the Coyotes. But Remis, the game of the night, and this one's moved a little bit in favor of the Oilers. The Colorado Avalanche plus 115 at Edmonton minus 135. Of course, the Avalanche played last night in Minnesota, traveled after the game and going right back at it. These teams have gone to overtime 5 straight games when they played. We all remember that classic between the two clubs a few Saturdays ago.
Crazy, and Edmonton coming off just a beatdown at the hands of the Dallas Stars. I kept seeing highlights on Twitter of Edmonton defensemen just turning the puck over almost willingly to Dallas. That's how bad it looked for Edmonton. So yeah, that is the game of the night. Other games I got my eye on. Yeah, if, Philly, could they get in the playoffs? That would be pretty wild. And the other question for me, Hus, does Arizona get the arena auction bump? That was the news last night after the Jets game, where it was announced they intend to bid on the parcel of land. I think it's June 27. So that is, hopefully we never have to hear about Coyotes and arena ever again after that. So a number of games, but yeah, all eyes on Colorado.
I'm not betting on that.
Colorado, Edmonton. All eyes on Colorado, Edmonton.
Let's get to the exclusives, though. I mean, we've been making some lock shoppers, and the WSTers are very happy with all these winners this week. We're back at it tonight, taking the Canes in regulation over Washington. Vegas in regulation over Arizona, and the Rangers to beat Detroit. Again, if you put that in on your own, it's plus 450. But they've given us a nice little boost up to plus 515. That is available in the exclusive tabs under the lock shop over at Coolbet Canada. The other thing we need to talk about, Reem, and we will do this very briefly, but I know people get a kick out of finding out that you can actually bet on WrestleMania. Oh, yes, you can. And I did a 25-minute special breaking down the odds and more for WrestleMania 40 on the weekend on today's Lock Shop. So you can check that out over at the EST channel. But I can tell you there's been some line movement, Reem. Jey Uso was minus 300. He's now down to minus 200 against his brother Jimmy Uso, who's plus 150. LA Knight has gone from like a minus 600 favorite to minus 323 against AJ Styles. And the one everyone's talking about, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I bet Roman Reigns last night at plus 250. I was talking about it on the Lock Shop today, and as we were speaking, got the line moved down to plus 225. And as we speak right now, it's now at plus 150. So very interesting line movement in and around WrestleMania. If you are a wrestling guy, check out Coolbet, have some fun with it for the event. And of course, I might actually do an exclusive, put together a parlay for this. So keep your eyes on the exclusives if you are a wrestling person. And if you are kind of interested but haven't been watching, go to ESPN. We had Greg Wyshynski on earlier this week. The Lapsed Fans Guide to WrestleMania 40, if you're going to be watching for it. It should be a lot of fun, Reem. And there's never been as many betting options for WrestleMania ever that I've seen as what they have at Coolbet right now.
Yeah, you even got parlay options in here. Let's go to specials. Crazy. Bloodline parlay. Oh my God. And look at all these options on people in chat are like, minds are blown, Huss, that you can bet on WWE, but they do bring it up for WrestleMania. How about this six-pack tag team ladder match? That sounds crazy.
Yes, it will be nuts. And last night I got on A-Town Down Under at plus 400. That's now moved to plus 350. The Awesome Truth, which is the Miz and R-Truth, are the favorites right now. But again, just kind of going back and forth, it's really interesting to see how these numbers have moved. And again, I'm pretty sure it's low limits. I mean, you're not putting the mortgage on a wrestling match, but certainly it can make it even more fun if you're watching the event. Hey, I saw Granny Bomber Fan mentioning the World Curling Championships. Sweden, Nicodine, 11-1. Canada and Bruce Mowat, the Scot, 10-2. And we'll see what the draw is. Actually, I know Coolbet's got the men's worlds up here as well. Germany taking on Italy and Scotland taking on USA in those next matchups, 3 a.m. Winnipeg time. And as far as the odds to win the whole thing, we don't have, okay, I guess those are off the board because those other games are happening right now. Hey, I don't mind Gushu. He had a nice win. Adin's sort of been the class of it so far, but let's go Canada. We'll be throwing down on that. Hey, if you haven't played at Coolbet before, use the promo code WST when you make your first deposit. Hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200. And you can also use that for poker at Coolbet. And again, keep your ears to the ground and listening to WST, because we're going to do a Winnipeg Sports Talk, Edmonton Sports Talk, Lock Shop, poker tourney. And we're going to set the date as soon as we find out the playoff schedule. So we'll let you know about that. And should be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm legitimately fired up for that. And a lot of people have been saying, let us know the information. We're in on that, Reem. That could be the start of something very, very fun.
Yeah, so people want to know. We will send it out on our newsletter. I'm putting it in the chat, or if you're listening on the podcast, winnipegsportstalk.com, scroll to the bottom, and I think that would be the best way for us to notify people right in your email, because, you know, you post stuff on X, formerly known as Twitter, and like the algorithm just decides what you're going to see now. Like you can follow someone, but you might not see it. So I'd say email for that kind of important information. And, we're working on some events too for this summer. And it'll go first on the newsletter before anywhere else.
Well, and while we're talking about wrestling, coming up in the next couple of weeks, we've got a bunch of AEW tickets to give away for the event here in Winnipeg on May 1st. So get on that mailing list. You'll have chances to win there. And we'll be sending that out to all of our loyal viewers. All right. We can close up Marbles, Reem. And T-Will, that poker tourney, no, it's going to be online. It's going to all just be done through Coolbet. We're probably going to be running a stream at the same time. Myself, Remis, probably Dusty, maybe Gazzola or LTE, talking about what's going on. And then I guess when somebody is out, we can probably have viewing of one of the tables, but just with us all playing in it. Oh, and there's going to be bounties on all of us. If you take us out, you're going to get a bonus from the folks at Coolbet. Anyways, it's going to be fun. But yeah, it will be online. Check it out. If you're at Coolbet, check out the poker feed. A lot of it is in euros. We'll obviously have it set up specifically for our group for our private tournament when we do it. All right, let's get some Tristan Rivers music going, and then some marble racing on WST to finish off a hell of a fun week.
Yeah, this was a fun week, and let me just pick a track here. Oh man, I'm not sure which one to do. I haven't done this one in a while.
It's Friday. Another week of work's gone by. You deserve to treat yourself, maybe an ice cream cake or a bottle of rye. Phone the whole day, so lax you can't deny. Why use effort even for pleasure? Give life the luck a try. Separating best to worst. Marble race. Just like marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race. Don't spare for you will suffer all next phase. Get to your mark before it's too late. Set go.
All right, the Styx version from the one and only Tristan Rivers music. All right, Friday afternoon. You know how we do it, folks. Anybody new? Welcome. Good luck. Make sure you hit the red subscribe, or I don't know if it's red. Hit the subscribe button. You got to be subscribed to be eligible to win the exclusive Winnipeg Sports Talk hoodie, which is our version of the Masters green jacket. You can only get it by winning the marble race. And again, hit that thumbs up as well while we are at it, if you don't mind. Remo, what do we got for a track today?
Yeah, I was doing some pre-scouting on the track today. Really good name, and just a lot of people in today. 258 marbles.
Nice.
In the race. This track is called Sunny Happy Day. It's
perfect. You got me in, right?
In all capitals. I'm doing it
Perfect,
right
thank
now.
you.
258 entries plus Hustler in all cap.
You know what? It's great. By the way, just while you get that ready, just looking at the chat, so many folks from the crew last night are out. I see Russ Lowen's there. Wayne Gretzky. Great to meet Wayne Gretzky for the first time last night. That was cool. We see Derek Schmidt, who had the whole family, including their darling little one, in attendance as well. But it was just so great. Again, thanks to everybody for hanging out this year. We're gonna, well, the fact that we won yesterday means we can do it again, because it was going to be banned if we went 0-4. And I can tell you as well, we had a nice meeting with our pal Andrew Collier, GM of the Gold Eyes. And we're going to be finalizing details for the WST patio party at the Fish game coming up in the season at one of their brand new patios they've just built out by Craft Beer Corner. So cannot wait for baseball season as well. Again, mailing list, best way to get all of that information from WST. Sam Crow with the super chat. Thanks, Sam Crow. Enjoy the weekend. Go Jets, go. Maybe a little extra karma for Sam Crow going into the marble race. All right, Remo, let's fire it up.
Yeah, that was a great game last night. Finally saw a win. The wait was worth it.
It was. It was so cool that we won, and at the same time, it was the clinch. So everyone was in great spirits afterwards. And hey, bring on the playoffs. Cannot wait.
Yeah, well, there were jokes being made that if we didn't get a win and wanted to do the package next year, it would have to be billed as the guaranteed win package featuring Columbus, Anaheim,
Sharks.
Sharks, Coyotes. That would be the guaranteed win package. But I have the track ready.
Let's do it.
Oh wait, not quite ready yet. Actually. There's 260. I gave a marble to Andrew Harris. Congratulations to him.
Nicely done.
On his retirement and upcoming documentary. So that was placed in there, and you were in there in all capitals.
Did you ever went to Gabe for the hat trick?
Oh, too late.
Okay, too late. No problem.
Did he already win a thing? Or no?
We'll already know. Nino
was
Bones.
And
Nino
Bones.
has won and Bones has won. Those are former champions.
Strevler has won too.
Yep, that is true.
Strevler. Kurt Comtois has won from Assiniboia Downs. Getting fired up. Has Hacksaw won? I know I've sent him one. I don't know if he actually won. Okay, we're here.
Dan Milburn, I'm thinking of 316 for next year's season ticket. Oh, dude, that would be awesome. 316, such a fun section. Got everything right around there, easy in and out. And hey, if you're looking for playoff tickets, throw the deposit down, and you'll get those playoff tickets before they go on sale to the general public. All right, here we go. It's the sunny, happy day. Perfectly named track for today because it is nice. It is sunny. It's finally getting warm out. The snow's melting. The Jets are going to the playoffs. We got the win last night for WST. We can't lose in the lock shop. I mean, it's all going well, but it'll be going much better for someone that finishes first in today's marble race. For the WST hoodie, shout out to Shipman Associates, our pals, for helping us get those done up. There's only one thing left to do for a great week, and that is drop the marbles on Winnipeg Sports Talk. All right, I always like these starts.
There's some nice things here I've never seen before in a marble race coming up. You'll see it.
Beautiful. Oh, by the way, shout out to Hockey Mom, who was with us last night and got the package, but because of her coaching basketball, wasn't able to be at the other games. So Hockey Mom's probably the only person in WST package history who's actually 1-0. And shout out to Wayne Bretsky and Tyson, who actually went and picked up tickets in the section and joined us last night as well. Lots of fun. All right, Candace Jane with a heck of a start. Ryan Kibbins, Peg City Dude, Isha Boy Bruce. A whole bunch of beauties right now near the top of the list. Wild Thang himself, Cam Thang. Looking good. All right, we've had a bit of a stop. Oh, Peg City Dude taking that one very quickly. Oh, Les Thompson, another one of our WST holders. Oh, somebody just got blown up. That was Les. Sam Crow, what did I tell you about the karma? Sam Crow's looking quite good. He's in the mix. We just had a number of Will Sutton, speaking of the Gold Eyes. Will, sorry about that. You just got thrown over the top rope.
So yeah, check out that tube in the middle. It goes left and right. And so sometimes you go left, sometimes you go right, or you may not make it to the other side of the tube.
I see. It looks like Kibbins. Poopy Pants just got blown out. Holy Tomatoes on the one side. Kibbins looking good on the left side. Ringer 1972 as well. What's up, Ringer? Mike Cochran, CP. Who do we have here? Kibbins, Ringer. Kibbins is in first. Kid Kibbins, I don't think he's ever won before, and he's in every weekend as well. Wouldn't that be something? What a way to start off the weekend with your first ever marble race victory. Kibbins with a slight lead. Michael Sofer, former trivia expert as well. I love the fact that I know so many of the folks in here. All right, here comes Kibbins. He has the lead. There is a ton of marbles right behind him, but Ryan Kibbins has pole position right now. And will he get shot into it? Will this be the end?
Yeah, I don't know the physics of this, if this is a jump or there's an invisible road here, but there's something's going on.
It looks somewhat invisible. All right, now he's into the sphere. Who will get out first? We'll see. Steiner. There's Steiner. There's Peg City Dude. Everybody's in there. Who is going to come out first?
I'll be 25.
I'll be 25. Robert Swanston. Steiner. Who's getting in first? Who will it be? Steiner.
Oh, my God.
That was a great finish. Oh, this was an awesome track. It was so close. Steiner, 25, narrowly beats out Robert Swanson for the victory. Mikey B in third. Crispy Galactic fourth. Ryan Kibbins, after that nice run, just couldn't close it. He finished fifth. Sean Sawatsky in sixth. Jarrett Standill Markovsky, number 7. Holy Tomatoes, 8th. Albie, 26. I thought it was Albie's there at the end. And then Mike Cochran finishing in 10th spot right now. A number of individuals getting burned, I guess, by the fire. Craig Smith, Rob White, Greg Ems just about to get burned. And there it is, Steiner, 25-58. Well done, Steiner. I think that's a first-time winner. All right, let's get down here. We need to go through it. There's lots of side betting action from WSTers going head-to-head with each other. Oh, Bozeman. Is that Bozeman in 25th? Yep, Bozeman 25th. Big one for Shorn today. Let's see where I am and where Ross is. Ross Ransby, DNF. Wow, only 38 marbles finished today.
Yes, got crazy.
Oh, I had no idea so many people got thrown out. Well, obviously I didn't. So that's a dub for Shorn in our head-to-head matchup. We just keep going right to the bottom. Everyone can see where they are when they went out. There's Doug Phil, Royal Sports Payable. Shout out to Royal. T. Konopoli. Amanda, former champion. Mike Wynn. Mike, great to see you. Speaking of 316, legend. There's Hustler. I got bounced. As did most of us. Only 38 marbles finished today, but it's Steiner that got the W. Steiner, send us the email. winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com, and we will make arrangements for you to come by and pick it up. Man, Remis, what a week. I mean, I'm just flying high. Jets are in. We survived. There is no curse. Can't miss a bet at Coolbet right now. I mean, and of course, heading to Nashville. So I'll be talking to you Monday from Music City, getting ready for that game on Tuesday night.
Oh, here, I don't know if people saw the thing. Let me move you.
Sure.
I'll move you. There. Yeah, you're going to be in Nashville. Crazy. Big Jets road trip. I don't know. Does the Jets road trip lose a little luster now that they've clinched? I remember last year this time they went to Nashville. Wasn't it Pionk who scored a big overtime winner?
Yeah, you are right. I think that was an afternoon game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember.
Saturday afternoon game.
I remember feeding my daughter. I was putting her down for a nap while watching it on a tablet. Or she had trouble sleeping, so I would just hold her to sleep and watch it on a tablet with Bluetooth headphones, and they won, and I'm silently
Did you go, yeah,
fist pumping.
yeah, way to go, Pionk. Oh, sorry, Sadie. Anyway, back to sleep.
Yeah. It was pretty...
Well, you know what? It's, listen, I'm actually happy that there won't be the stress of potentially having Nashville catch the Jets in that game or anything like that. And listen, it's just fun. You can get there pretty cheap from Allegiant. We're going to head down to Fargo early tomorrow, watch the game there, and then leave on Sunday morning for a few days and follow on the socials. We'll fire out some good stuff. We'll try and get down, hopefully to do the show from Bridgestone Arena for sure on Tuesday, maybe even Monday, although the Jets are not going there early. So anyways, but I'll be locked in from wherever we are. And as I say, our pal Max, hers I think is going to jump on the program as well to set up the game on Tuesday. And we'll have all our regulars and I'll track down Kenny on the road. He traveling today, so he'll be in Minnesota tomorrow. And obviously, you can check the fellas out after the game tomorrow night. All right, well, gang, enjoy WrestleMania. Enjoy the game on the weekend. Enjoy the nice weather outside. And we'll see you on Monday. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors that make the show happen every day. Everyone listening on the podcast, and of course, the entire gang here from the Marble Race and hanging out on a Friday for the YouTube broadcast. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. There is no curse. Jets are going to the playoffs. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday on WST.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.